Okay, Panda, go ahead and send it over to me and I will read that for you. How are you? How are your Among Us games? You had fun in Among Us? That's good. I'm glad. It's pretty chaotic. It's not normal to not have chaos. A few games were like fucking immediately kills. Oh, Panda. Did you write a poem or a story? And did you want me to read it tonight? A poem. Okay. I just spilled water all over my desk. Looks really good, Panda. I'm excited to read it. And yeah, water mess is not good, is it? You agree? Alright, Panda. We're gonna wait for them. They said they're in their last game here. But I'll read a little short story here called Old School by Gabrielle Urbina. Okay, sounds good. The narrator reflects on the lifetime influence a charismatic high school teacher had upon him. I am old school, and by labeling myself as such, I see that as a positive thing. Obviously, this has to do with the times when I was of high school age, and also with the different outlook parents had about the education of their children. In general, parents didn't have a college education as an almost universal goal for their children, as it seems to be today. In particular, my parents wanted me to be happy, to develop my natural abilities, and to be able to earn a good living, but a college education was not part of the equation. I attended a business high school. You may not have heard of such schools, but they still exist in this country. Their existence is obscured by the lofty ideal of a college education. When I was in high school, we never heard about student loans and the astronomical figures of student debt we heard about these days. I have the feeling, looking at the present situation, that many students are getting useless degrees. They have a lot of debt and do not have the necessary skills to enter the job market. At my school, besides general education subjects, I studied business organization, statistics, economics, and accounting. I hated. Call me old school, but during my adult life I worked as an accountant. The extent of my college education were a few night courses at the local community college. One of the things I like is that I don't owe any money for my education and never did. What I like the most about my education is that I had the best teacher I've ever seen. Thank you for reading, Rose, and hello. Mr. Nilo taught an introduction to business course. He was a young teacher, not older than 30. No, you're fine. You don't have to apologize. He always wore a neatly pressed gray suit, white shirt, and light blue tie. We asked him one day why he always wore gray. He said it was because of the chalk. The classrooms didn't have whiteboards, only blackboards. So his answer made sense. Everything he said, everything he taught me made sense, at least to me. One question we would never ask him was how many gray suits he had had. We figured maybe 2 or maybe just 1. We knew our teachers did not get paid well. At the time, I did not know what charisma was. It was much later I realized that Mr. Nilo was a charismatic teacher. Other teachers were disrespected by the uninterested, bored, and indifferent students, which were many. When Mr. Nilo walked into the classroom, there was silence, the silence of students ready to learn. I believe his appeal was based on the fact that he was teaching beyond his subject matter. His course was more like an introduction to life. He didn't use a textbook. We had to take notes, so first he taught us the essential steps of note-taking. There were no multiple choice answers or true or false questions on his tests. He just had questions. He told us just answer each question with a good sentence. Do not pour your notes into answers. Just answer the questions. With Mr. Nilo, we couldn't fake it. We couldn't guess. Either we knew the answers or we didn't. He went beyond the topic of business organizational charts. He taught us how to organize our notes and even how to be an organized person. Sounds good, Rose. He didn't talk about striving for excellence, as it is advocated nowadays. This expectation leads to the obsession of getting A grades in every subject. It also leads, in many cases, to the selection of easy courses, an easy major, and a degree that does not encompass the necessary skills that the job market requires. I have come to believe that a resume should include a list of relevant courses and a list of marketable skills. A degree is fine, but it is not the most important entry in this hypothetical resume. Being very good at what you do was Mr. Nilo's reasonable advice. Enjoy what you do and be happy. I must say I followed his advice. I will state the obvious. Mr. Nilo was my favorite teacher. He was influential in how I developed as an adult, and I will always remember him. The end. Hi Volk, how are you? I'm okay. Also, where do you keep getting those emotes from, Hated? Hi Callie, how are you? You just finished eating? What did you have? Why? Why are we calling him Pentakill Machine? Did you see the video I posted in media over in Rose's channel? I did not get a chance to look at it yet, but I will. Oh, that's for Jessica Blevins? Interesting. You don't even follow her? No, but I do, and Rose does. Interesting. I got a gifted sub to someone I've never seen before the other day too. Tobo chicken with rice. Oh, that was sweet of her. Sounds good. So while we wait for Rose, I'm gonna read the bank job to you guys. It's supposed to be a comedy. We'll see. It was 5:30 p.m. Friday night. Dwayne and Bubba were sitting in the backyard drinking beer and smoking marijuana. Dwayne, get me another beer. Sure, Bubba, I'll get me one too. Dwayne went to the cooler to get a beer and found the cooler empty. Bubba, they were out of beer. What do you mean we're out of beer? Said Bubba. Well, Dwayne, go buy more beer. Bubba, we're out of money too. Bubba stood up and looked at Dwayne. We're out of marijuana too. Dwayne, we need more money, weed, and more beer. How do we get the money? Asked Dwayne. We will rob the bank Saturday morning, said Bubba. All we need is $500. Then that's all we will ask for at the bank. Yes, they are, Panda. Also, what the hell are you doing, David? Those need to stop. Okay, Dwayne, this is how we're going to do it. We will park the car in front of the bank, and we will leave the car running for a quick getaway. That sounds good, Bubba. It's 8:45 Saturday morning. Dwayne and Bubba park their car in front of the bank, waiting for it to open. Did you bring the gun? No, Bubba, but I did bring the bullets. You want me to throw bullets at them? Dwayne, the bank is opening now. Leave the car running and let's go in now. Dwayne and Bubba entered the bank and walked up to the first window. This is a hold-up. The bank teller looked up. I don't have time for you now. Go to another window. Dwayne looked at Bubba. What do we do now? Go to the next window. Dwayne and Bubba left their car running in front of the bank. Billy Bob Throop was walking by and saw their car running. Billy Bob looked around and jumped in the car and drove off. Dwayne and Bubba walked up into the next window. This is a hold-up. Give me $500. Here, take it all, said the teller. Dwayne and Bubba ran out of the bank for a quick getaway, but their car was gone. Bubba, the car is gone. What do we do now? Take the money back in the bank. Tell them to call 911. Someone stole our car. The end. That's tough. Damn, Bubba. That's right, guys. If you're gonna rob a bank, do it with people who have more sense than that. Actually, just don't rob a bank. I did. Yep. Except we're not robbing a bank, Hated. See? It's not a hold-up. But what are you trying to get over here? Oh, you're here to steal it, huh? Panda agrees. What is this? This is not... No. Panda? No. Can't steal it. That's right. Oh my goodness, you guys. Panda and I share the same brain. We are one person now. You guys are so silly. Alright, so I don't know where Rose is, and I really want to wait to read Panda's poem until she gets back. Or maybe she is back and she just didn't tell us because she's eating all her food. Thank you for the follow, Wargriever. How are you? I hope you're enjoying the stories. You DM'd her? Okay. I'm not too worried about it. I read you guys, I don't know, I think it's a little poem that's not labeled. It's called Keith the Oxen by Kevin Rottweiler. like a biblical oxen yoked to a job, with strong hooves in the cold snow, with cold jaws preparing his work like a doctor. Now his shovel is smooth like a surgeon's knife, cutting at the smooth ice, never had time for a wife, paying the bills, and time kills. You get old here with frozen tears, and he supported another oxen, one that could barely stand on sober and wobbly knees, like a newborn horse right out of the womb, and eating department store hot dogs, earning his law degree at night, defying his oxen status. A stall of wheat and barley takes away the winter chill, and the salivating animal with strong hooves scratched at the earth, and a moon that would not shut up, eating the hot dogs, diving into the hot dogs, falling asleep at the ox cart, playing cards and marbles with the other animals, mules and more mules, leaving their animal dung near his cart. A wonderful sight brings a pizza to his oxen brother, with wobbly knees and a continual fight. From poverty and rain, the cold rain drips on the warm animals' backs. It's hard being an oxen. Rottweiler, woof. I don't think that they would appreciate that. Alright, guys. Did she respond? Probably not. Rose, I need you to come back to Legos. I know. We're just waiting for her to read Panda's poem he wrote. I don't want her to miss it. That's okay. I'll drink some water and we'll read Over the Hill by John Charles. Alright. Charles looked at the young man across the desk. Fit, healthy, keen of all described him. Can I put Ian Black with you for a couple of hours, Charlie? Tamsin, the department head, had asked. Of course, no problem. What else could he say? No, sod off. I am not good enough for a section. Why would I be good enough to train new boys? That's what he wanted to answer. Oh, and by the way, don't call me Charlie. My name is Charles. But of course, all that came out is, what time would you like me to see him? And so here he was, another in the long line of recruits Charlie had met in his 40-odd years in the intelligence services. 40-odd years which now saw him washed up, serving out time to retirement. Charles had been passed over for a section head job at Christmas, an opportunity he regarded as his last hurrah, and of course he had been passed over in favor of one of the young recruits he had trained. Hi, Rose, welcome back. The brief for new recruits was to give them a background of the sorts of cases that this department worked on, and insight to the processes and procedures the desk-bound staff followed. This was supposed to help the recruits when they went out to the field. We know, we just thought you would be back a little bit sooner. If over 30 years as a field agent had taught Charles one thing, it was that processes, procedures, and rules counted for nothing when you were out there, maybe looking down the wrong end of a gun. But this was the world Charles had to inhabit since he was made redundant by the frontline department he had been working for. Made redundant is a euphemism the services like to use when it puts an agent it considered past active service out to grass. Charles' operational usefulness might have carried him through a few more years of active service, but his outspoken comments about how the department was being run since its chief had been sent to run the Washington field office made him a prime target when money needed to be saved. And once you are declared unfit for an active service in the job, there was no right of appeal, no going back. It had to be that way. Charles accepted that. You can't have any weak links until they're out there when the bullets are flying. So it was a somewhat jaundiced, delusional, and depressed Charles who was now looking across the desk at a young man with a shrug and no interest in what he was doing. Charles started the young man's education in the dark arts of administering a security service. Ian Black, at 24, was a typical product of the service's current recruitment policy. Physically fit, rugby blue at Oxford, where he had won a first in politics, he had stood out with the recruiters when they had visited the university to cast their eyes over the best of the crop of undergraduates. The first approach had been vague. Ian had been left with an impression that he was being interviewed for something in the city, or possibly the diplomatic corps. But after the week of rigorous vetting, physical, psychological profiling, and aptitude testing, he had been offered a position in the intelligence services with the aim of him being a field agent. And so it was keen and eager young recruit that sat across the table from Charles now. Whilst Ian was unknown to Charles, Charles was known to Ian. Indeed, Charles was known well through the security services. He was, in fact, something of a legend, a veteran of the IRA troubles, scourge of a militant Islam, drug dealer's nemesis. The stories were legion in the service, and now Ian was in front of the great man. Charles spoke for 20 minutes. Ian listened, taking in every word. When Tamsin came in to move him on to another part of his training, Ian left reluctantly. "Thank you for resubbing, Hats. I appreciate it." Charles spoke for 20 more minutes. "Sorry," she said to Ian. "We run all of our new starters past an old man. He knows so much about work here." As she ushered Ian into her office, she sat quietly. "I am truly sorry. I only meant to leave you with him for 10 minutes. I got caught on a conference call. God, he can bore for the England." Ian looked back across the office at the old man, and looked across at Tamsin, how could two people read somebody so differently? "Right," said Tamsin. "How do you take your coffee?" The end. Thank you for the lurk, folk. I hope you enjoy your games. Alright, Panda. We are going to read your poem. Are you guys ready? You're so ready? Okay. In another world, I'd be your warm embrace. In this one, without you, I'll never see your face. In another world, we'd be on cloud 9. In this one, these dark clouds are mine. In another world, I'd be the beating of your heart. In this one, without you is how I start. In another world, you'd be the sparkle in my eye. In this one, without you, I'm left here wondering why. In another world, we'd share our lives together. In this one, without you, it's just another never. In another world, you'd have my hand to hold. In this one, without you, I'm left out in the cold. In another world, it would be just you and me. In this one, without you, it's a dream I'll never see. Thank you, Panda. I appreciate you writing that and sending it for us. By far one of the best poems I think I've ever read. guys are hugging each other, so cute. Yes, give Panda hugs. He deserves it. That was a very good poem. I can't even imagine how long it took you to write that though, but it's perfect. Thank you, Panda. Alright, guys. Okay. So, this story is called The Legend of the Ice Princess, by Strange Teller, whoever that may be. Alright. So, the ravens were the most powerful and the cruelest in the galaxy. Their unmatched thirst for power was only surpassed by their ego. It was said that they drank Calais blood, an animal resembling the wolf, before every battle, which made them invincible. Oh, look at that. Thank you for the hugs, guys. So cute. However, they wouldn't have had such a record for win after win in a war that could easily have been characterized as absurd if their leader, the undefeated, hadn't possessed a redoubtable weapon that wasn't available to any raven, the power to read minds. Thus any inkling of betrayal or trap set at the negotiating table was annihilated from the beginning, because the undefeated knew that absolutely everything about those surrounding him. His power began being instantaneous. They had conquered many planets. They were receiving heavy tributes from all the people, but they were no longer satisfied with this. They wanted to conquer the galaxy. One evening, they called a special meeting to pinpoint all the details pertaining to the final assault on the Duridians, the ones living on the planet of the Ice Lakes, the only ones that could contest their supremacy. They were to embark on their battleships, the infamous fireplanes, at the hour of the purple moon eclipse, when the Duridians' detectors could not intercept them because of a magnetic interference. How long have they waited for this eclipse that only happened once every 1,000 years? A fireplane was so difficult to destroy and was very capable of destroying up to a quarter of a planet with its radiation. Even so, a capable ice pilot could destroy it, so that they had to wait until no risk could undermine their attack. When they would breach the ice palaces and conquer them, killing their inhabitants, a unanimous roar made itself heard at the end of the meeting. They had to finally become the masters of the galaxy. A lone raven, Duke of Darkness, had the thought of betrayal. If I sell this information to the Duridians, I will surely gather more money and acclaim than I would ever have here. The undefeated fixed him with his monstrous gaze. Is that what you think? He said. Supreme Master, what do you mean? He mimed his bewilderment. This Duke brings shame to the name of the Raven. He will be punished according to Raven law tonight, claimed the absolute leader. And truly, in the same night, he was thrown alive in a pool full of white crocodiles. The Ice Princess was a fragile, helpless being. She spent her time in her room reading stories, playing with the ice manatees, and wandering the magic realm, only to return in a state of reverie in which nobody could talk to her. She noted her dreams in a snowy diary, and didn't seem to pay her respects to the centuries-old customs of the planet of the Ice Lakes. Even more so, she was completely inept. She once broke a leg slipping on a frozen lake while she was playing with a seal. Something that was not imagined before on her planet, where dexterity and precision were inoculated from an early age to all Duridians, making them unmatched in such traits. Peaceful and rational they were, however, fearsome warriors. Otherwise, they would not have been among the first in the galaxy. One night, her parents had a talk about all this. Amid thinking that we will be obliged to excommunicate her, I know it sounds painful, but we cannot leave the future of the galaxy in the hands of such a ridiculous princess, said her mother. I know, I thought about this as well, but I will not do it. Why not? Think about the consequences. Exactly. Not because of an exaggerated love, but I have another really good reason not to do it. What do you mean? What is this about? I can't tell you right now. It's a big secret. You will find out when the time is right. They both said nothing more, staring blankly and not reopening the subject. The Ice Princess went to the magic realm again, where nobody knew what she was doing, what she was thinking, or what she was feeling. It was an enchanted world where she played among fairies that looked like girls her age, sat for hours, fell asleep, then woke up again and started running around through the enchanted forest. One day she discovered something not known by anyone, slipping due to a new clumsiness down a snow mole hole. She went down for tens of meters until she was completely lost. There she found the magic sword, made entirely of crystal and encrusted with rubies. It had fascinating visage outside of the ordinary. She put her small hand on the hilt and felt that it had never before seen power, hiding it in the secrets of the universe, the power of fire and eternity of ice. She didn't know why, how, or where it came from, but she knew this was the case. It was a magnificent experience, but she didn't talk of it to anyone because of an intuition that she couldn't explain. When the hour of the eclipse arrived, the fire planes left as commanded in a perfect synchrony that sent shivers down your spine. The death-announcing sound covered the galaxy. The Undefeated looked through the bullseye with a strange, inhuman gaze. After a short while, the Duridians would finally know the invincible power and pride of the Ravens in a way that they would have never thought of. The plan worked. The ice pilots detected nothing and were taken completely by surprise. Crossfire destroyed their ships one by one in less than a few minutes. The plan worked, and before the ice palaces could sound the alarm, the Raven troops breached them. They had precisely calculated the time that they had so not to put the mission in danger. Then the slaughter followed. Many were slain with the firearms, the feared laser jets, but there were also hand-to-hand fights in which the savage Ravens were victorious. Their bloody tomahawks ended the life of so many Duridians that nobody could count them anymore. It was a monstrous, apocalyptic spectacle. The council halls, the room framed by the wondrous ice windows, had become a theater of death. The brave warriors that were guarding the place died in the flames of the laser jets. So did the old wise men, the wives of dignitaries, and the members of the council. This space had never known bereavement, but now the tragedy was complete. The small princess looked at them, shaking and white in the face. She then slipped and fell again on the ice carpet, in a stupid and careless manner that made the Ravens laugh. "Please have mercy, I'm just a helpless child," she said, crying. They quickly looked at each other and hurried to the next room. Her parents were the true target. "Starting today, the galaxy is ours," their leader said, after which they opened fire. The princess's dad threw himself toward the deadly needle weapon, but it was too late. He died in the fire of the laser jets, as did her mother, who was reading a parchment. That parchment held the secret of which she was told about, the reason because of which the Ice Princess hadn't been estranged of her rights. "What is that?" asked one of the ravens. "I don't know, but I think that she'll have any use for it on the other side." And with that, he engulfed the parchment in a wave of flames. While all of them were busy occupying the new territory, the Ice Princess sneaked between them and made herself unseen. She ran out of the animalistic instinct far away as possible. This time she didn't slip. When she exited the Ice Palace, she instinctively went towards the place she knew best, to the refuge of her childish hours. She knew that only the magic realm could welcome her. There she cried for hours on end in bitter, devastating throes. She knew that her parents had been killed, that the Ice Palaces only hosted death and the barbarity of the ravens. Late after her fragile body could not bear the burden of tears anymore. She remained inertly on the ground, with her ear to the grass. She could hear, as if through a dream, something magical, the only thing that could keep her alive, the murmur of the magic forest, the never-ending stream. She crawled more dead than alive to the place where she had discovered the magic sword. The ravens celebrated their victory for a long time, in their primitive and loud way. They threw the bodies in a mass grave, then partied in the Ice Palaces for the days on end. They scattered guards and fire planes through the perimeter to make sure no potential detachment of Duridians forgotten anywhere could pose any more danger. The undefeated visited the place of their victory, but settled for a while at the headquarters on the other planet to coordinate everything. A new order has been born in the galaxy. Nobody can defeat us. Today we have rewritten history, he claimed as a success. Meanwhile, the princess, after spending a long time near the Enchanted Spring, met the spirits of the magic realm. They gave her power, helped her hold on, and grow. She would spend countless hours in their company, and when some of the pain eased up, she had a new feeling, something she had never experienced before. She felt so proud of her noble blood, so close to the sky. She felt that rare breed that she belonged to was about to be extinct, trampled, and she could not let that happen. She rose off the ground and watched the starry sky with dignity that only a true princess would have been capable of. She scanned the sky with icy eyes and spoke to her parents, who had gone to the other side. I am the Ice Princess, the last of the people that were born for victory. I will bring victory to the Duridians. I will avenge you. I will put an end to the undefeated. I don't know how, but I will. This is my oath I made in the magic realm. She then buried her suffering beneath an impenetrable mask. She learned how to fight along the beginning of the forest, to wield the sword, the bow, the ice needle weapons. She learned the dark martial arts. She sculpted her subtle body into a perfect athletic build. She became an initiate in the secrets of the perfect mind-body balance, and only the greatest initiates could help by the spirits of the magic realm, and land whose origin she still didn't know. When her forming was near an end, a spirit revealed to her the following. You're the chosen among the Duridians. An old prophecy says that you are the only one who can defeat the ravens, and bring the pride of your people where it belongs. The time has come for you to know the secrets of the magic sword as well. We will then lead you to the last outpost of Duridians who escaped the slaughter of the Ice Palaces. Such she found out that the sword had really unbefore-seen powers. It could be used equally well as a proper weapon that could cut through both metal and laser jet fire, and as a paranormal instrument with its help. She could see the future, communicate with spirits, or modify the frequency of her own thoughts. After a year and a half of training, she met the detachment of Duridians who trained her for becoming a true ice pilot. I am ready now, she said as her training was over. The time has come for a new meaning to be brought to the world, undefeated. Hello, Niku, how are you? I have not seen you in a while. I hope you've been well. The Raven occultists knew that something was terrible and was going to happen, but they could not do anything about it, because Thoris, the supreme deity, was completely clouding their minds and preventing them from deciphering anything else. In time, they resigned, especially because, no matter how proud they were, they considered going against the will of Thoris a blasphemy. Even so, as Seer told them to take care of a small raven girl that was born right that day in the Fire Keep. The stars say that she will be the last survivor of a terrible war. She will be brave and proud, and she will succeed where no other raven can. She will bring peace through death, she said. I cannot see more, but please guard her. Don't let harm come her way. Oh, I'm so sorry, Niku. I hope it comes back negative. And I hope this helps you. Which the ravens did. After an order in the galaxy was apparently restored, an unusual visitor appeared at the gates of the Ice Palace. I'm glad you're relaxed. The Ice Princess was now a young woman, trained in all the secrets of fighting and galactic diplomacy. A strange tremor passed through her at seeing her native place again. Beyond the pain, she was completely alone in the middle of enemy territory. I bet you do hate it. I bet you do. Alone amongst the ravens, but she defeated her fear because she had a weapon that made her plan nearly invulnerable. She took a deep breath and communicated to an envoy that she waited a meeting with. The undefeated, who are you? I am the Ice Princess, a Duridian princess. I am unarmed and only wish for a diplomatic meeting. I wouldn't call that training. At first he frisked her. The raven nodded. Your request will be passed on to our leader. Take a seat in the waiting room. You'll be informed as soon as we get an answer. Thank you. She took a seat and watched for minutes on end of the naval base where hundreds of fireplanes were waiting patiently. After approximately half an hour, she was led under strict supervision to the home that was now occupied by the undefeated. After approximately half an hour, she was led back to greet her diplomatic traditions, but gazed at her in a strange way which went beyond the borders of reality. Such courage could only be expected from a Duridian princess. As you know, the power is now only yours. I am ready to listen to the reason for which you requested this meeting. The Ice Princess played a hard bluff. She knew that if she lied too openly, she would be lost. I confess that the first thought that went through my head was of revenge. Our people are also proud and do not accept defeat. But I am completely alone now. No matter how hard I wish it, I cannot bring the Duridian detachments back to life, so I decided to ally myself with you. If you have me by your side, I will be a perfect diplomatic representative, and when needed, a fierce fighter. Nobody in the whole galaxy could stop us. Ha ha ha, laughed the raven. What reason would I have to believe you? But my simple rationality cannot replace my diplomatic interest. Truly, an alliance would serve to calm things down in the galaxy, so the correct way to go about things is to give you a test of reading your thoughts. If you had said the truth, consider your proposal accepted. If not, you will end up like my poor Duke of Darkness. You will be delicious prey to the white crocodiles. All right, said the princess, not batting an eye. The test itself was infallible, having no error percentage, but her secret weapon was that, with the help of the magic sword, she had modified the frequency of her thoughts, so that upon scanning, the only thing that would appear would be what was earlier introduced into her memory, like sort of a flash disk, a 100% accurate account of what she had just told him. After a few minutes, an amazed and relieved look could be read on the face of the undefeated. To my relative's surprise, there are no hidden thoughts in your mind. Very well then, starting tomorrow, we will start the necessary diplomatic process. I am honored, said the Ice Princess before leaving. For a long time, this facade was kept. The Ice Princess had become too strong and capable to not know what to obtain final victory. She must not have bluffed too soon. She knew that, in order for him to be beat, the undefeated would have to be drunk on the laurels of victory, convinced that he is the supreme ruler of the galaxy. She had to have superhuman patience, and she did. After galactic years in which she served in many diplomatic missions, took part in official receptions, and even fought against some people at the edge of the galaxy, she made the decision move. She proposed to make their alliance definitive through marriage. I wouldn't have ever thought of this. Neither would have I, said the Ice Princess with an irony that proved in these moments to be too subtle for the undefeated's vanity. You are young, beautiful, and capable. The Empire needs an heir. Time is passing, and we have to think about the future. Exactly. Well then, may Thoris bless this moment. My response is affirmative. In the moment that he said Thoris's name, the sky abruptly darkened, terrible thunder started roaring, and storm of hitherto unseen violence covered this planet. Big hail was striking the windows of the Ice Palace. Then, for the first time in his life, the undefeated felt fear, a sentiment almost unknown to the ravens, a sort of anxiety that divinity would turn its eyes from, even though he could not explain the feeling in any way. Let us celebrate this moment, said the Ice Princess before opening a bottle similar to earthly champagne. Late in the night, when the undefeated was sound asleep, the Ice Princess snuck out of the bedroom and through a small window that she knew from where she was a child. She floated in the sky for a few moments, joined by the spirits of the magical realm, and from somewhere in the other side she took her magic sword, an ice dagger, and the latest generation Duridian automaton. When she stepped back into the palace, she was armed to the teeth. She then crept into the bed and woke the feared raven leader with a graceful caress. Oh, I was sleeping. What is it? Nothing. I wanted to ask you, why are you called the Undefeated? She questioned. Oh, it's a long story, essentially, but it's the fact of the beginning who couldn't defeat me hasn't been born yet, either in the galaxy or outside of it. Oh. Well, began the princess, before pausing for a bit, as if to fully savor what was to follow. I'm sorry, but you blew it really bad, she said, and stuck the ice dagger very deep into his back, to immediately jump to her feet afterwards. I'm called the Ice Princess because I can't even freeze fire. The Undefeated was knocked out. He could not understand anything of what was happening. How was any of it possible? And blood started flowing from his mouth. Defend yourself, Undefeated. You will die by my hand regardless. The raven tensed up in a supreme show of ego, and let out his war cry. It was well known that a raven either died or won. Nobody could ever be a prisoner of this race. He took an ancient flail and started swinging left and right. In blind rage, the Ice Princess dodged and danced around him until he was dizzy, using the hard-trained rules of the dark martial arts. Then the raven swung so hard that the mace of the flail was stuck deep into the floor. With a single swing of the magic sword, she cut his weapon in half, so the raven was only holding a wooden handle. He angrily threw it aside and searched for a new weapon, but it was too late. The end of you will be the end of your race, the princess said, and the Undefeated was instantly decapitated by the sword, now switched to its laser mode. She then dragged him outside, in full view of the ravens that started to rile up, alerted by fighting sounds. Take him. This was the Undefeated, she shouted at them. Of course, the consequences were coming, but for at least a few minutes she could rest easy. The ravens believed the Undefeated to be a god, and the shock of losing him was too big for them to be able to do anything in the moment. The Ice Princess had foreseen this. She was not going to use this to break to run, instead of send a short signal using the magic sword to the only Duridian attachment that was still unharmed. They were to quickly strike the fireplane base using their best ice pilots, while she was going to fight the ravens in the palace. All said and done, the general alarm had been since sounded, but a few moments too late. The ice pilots were already wreaking havoc through the still sleepy fireplanes. Catch and kill her, the raven screams. But the ice pilot fought with such fury, precision, and vengeful bloodlust that no one saw coming. No one, apart from the seer and Thoris. In her right hand she had her magic sword, with which she decapitated ravens one after another, and in her left the automaton, which she fired round after round at those who tried to attack her from a distance. She then went outside. The Druidian detachment had done their duty, blasting all the fireplanes and their pilots except for one. The one posed a real threat, however, because once fired up it was nearly unstoppable. Ice Princess, that one got away. What do we do? She was questioned through glacial waves. Nothing, leave him to me, she said with a strange smirk. She used the sword to calculate where the fireplane would be in the following seconds, then took the automaton and fired towards the engine. The explosion that followed only left behind pieces of fuselage and tens of smoldering raven corpses. Oh my goodness, they did. The Ice Princess fixed the stars with her gaze and took a deep breath. Mother, Father, I fulfilled my promise. I brought death to the undefeated, defeat to the ravens, and now the Ice Palace belongs to the Druidians once again. She took a deep bow like an artist that salutes the public on the curtain call. Galactic months have passed, but peace didn't seem to come to the galaxy. The Ice Princess had turned everything into a personal war. She wasn't reading, going to the magic realm, or concerning herself with anything except one goal, killing as many of the ravens as possible. In one of her adventures through the galaxy, she reunited with the ravens that once laughed at her. I'm not slipping on the ice this time, she said, and killed them one by one. Her advisors on the council were worried. Justice had to be served, which such actions put the Druidians' credibility throughout the galaxy in peril. You have proven enough already. Please stop. I won't stop until I have exterminated the last raven, when the name of this cursed race will have been wiped out from history, she said in a sober tone. And she held her word. After nearly a galactic year, the only ones left alive were a small group of ravens, isolated in their realm, in the Firekeep. The Ice Princess took her weapons and set course for the keep, along a Druidian commando that was sworn an oath of intelligence to her. She killed raven after raven, using her sword or her ice needle weapon, while the commando was handling a few fireplanes surrounding the keep. In the end, when there was nothing left to destroy, the Ice Palace reached a small room. There stood a small raven girl, watching through the window, shaking and crying. She was the last survivor. Please have mercy. I am just a helpless child, she said, crying. The words hit like a dagger. They were, long ago, her own words, and the ruthless princess had an immense moment of weakness. I can't do this, she thought, but because her experience could not let her hesitate, she looked into the future. There she saw herself forgiving the small raven girl and offering her, as a gift, the ice needle weapon. Take it as a gift from me. If anyone ever attacks you, you should have something to defend yourself with. She turned her back on her and walked towards the door. I don't need your gifts. Die, killer, the little raven yelled, pulling the trigger with all of her might. Then the Ice Princess collapsed, her body pierced by ice needles, to release her soul towards those of her parents. She stood there, shaking. For the first time in her life, she was at a loss of words. She talked to her mother using the magic sword. Mother, we haven't talked in a long time. Please, it is important. Tell me, what did the prophecy say exactly? The forest spirit only revealed to me, partially. It says that you are the chosen one amongst the Druidians. You're the only one that can defeat the ravens and put the pride of your people where it belongs. Which you did, my girl, my darling, but the parchment ended with the following mention. The only thing that could ever defeat you would be mercy. The Ice Princess looked at the little raven girl and saw in the candor of her eyes something that belonged to the magic realm. She returned there for a moment and knew that a decision had been made. I'm coming, Mother. I always said that nobody can oppose a prophecy. She then offered the little girl her weapon, saying the exact words which she saw herself say in the scene of the future. The raven girl stood motionless next to the body that was once the Ice Princess. Her raven pride had been avenged, but at the same time the bitter tears of regret took over. Ice Princess, forgive me. I had no right to do this. I'm too little to know why this entire war took place. But I am sure of one thing. You handed me the weapon to protect myself, and I shot you in the back. I am not worthy of living anymore, she said. Legend has it that both the souls of the Ice Princess and the little girl met in the heavens, where forgiveness, peace, and love are the only rules. And there they formed an eternal friendship that finally brought peace between the two people that were deadly enemies. Their spirits now lay in the magic realm, where they guide and protect the beings of the galaxy so that their tragedy would never happen again. The end. Welcome back, folk. It's a close match, huh? Alright, guys. We'll do one more poem. And this is called Flowers, and then we will say goodnight. Hi, Drift, how are you? Will anybody speak of this the way flowers do? The way the common speaks of the fearless dying leaves? Will anybody speak of this the way the common does? The way the fearless dying leaves speak of the coming cold? Will anybody speak of this the way the fearless dying leaves speak of the coming cold, and the quiet it will bring? Will anybody speak of this, the coming of the cold, and the quiet it will bring, the fire we beheld? Will anybody speak of this, the quiet it will bring, the fire we beheld, and the garlands at the gate? Will anybody speak of this, the fire we beheld, the garlands at the gate, the way the flowers do? I'm doing good, Drift, thank you. Oh, that sounds fun, Drift. I hope you enjoyed your time. Did you guys try the new map? And did you enjoy it if you did? Sounds good. Thank you, Rose. Alright, so I'm gonna send you guys over to Rose if you're not done for tonight. The new map is huge. That's excellent, Drift. I'm sorry that you didn't join until, the last minute, but I'm glad you did. And I appreciate every single one of you. You are all worthy and you are all loved. I'm gonna send you on over to Rose. I hope you guys have a great night.